got about 18.5 acres just on the edge of the Chewton Bushlands. The dam's about 6 years old. Planting things feels good. You feel like you're healing the landscape, and doing that together as a community effort brings people together, and it feels quite nurturing to be planting and doing something that's helping nature recover instead of just being consumers as we all are.
We applied for a council grant for the rewilding, which included some nesting boxes because the trees here are thinner and not big enough to create their own hollows.
It's a very interesting area. I think it's got about 35 blocks. They vary from maybe 5 acres to 10 acres. It's all box ironbark, and it's really good to see that a lot of the understory shrubs and flowers are coming back. So it's a good story, but it's, you know, nature's still got a long way to go to repair what was done through the mining around this area, and also the logging for the local industry. Well, every property's got at least one dam.
And we've had some very, very hot, dry, long seasons, and some of the dams are built better than others, so some of them adapt better than others.
Bonjour! Bonjour! Yippity! Yippity! Wah! 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 Ai! 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 Milathina nika, Milathina mana, Waranta, Palawa, Milathina nika. Now what did all that mean? Well, Bunjil is the creator who turns himself into a wedge-tailed eagle.
There's about 300 amphibious species around the world which are threatened with extinction by the fungus. So yeah, that's why we're going to wash our boots. Just from the name of this is our racism towards plants. Now, this is called pondweed, and it's not a weed. You know, it's like people say, oh, there's waterweed in the water. It's like, well, it's not. No, it's not weed. It's indigenous. If you're trying to encourage local wildlife, you've got to put in local plants. The wetland environment's incredibly important for the whole ecosystem. They're basically the kidneys of the ecosystem. All the water that flows through the landscape goes through wetlands. It gets filtered, it gets, some of the excess nutrients get taken out of it, the water slows down. They act like huge, basically flood retarding basins, but on a natural sort of scale. And they're incredibly important for biodiversity. Like a lot of our, 30% of our threatened plants and animals are in rivers and wetlands. So they've taken a hammering. Like the way we've managed the land over the last 200 years has been really detrimental to a lot of our rivers and wetlands. And so I suppose I'm trying to get people to understand that even a small bit of habitat on their property can actually be really important. So as I said, I'm not promoting the building dams, because obviously if we build more dams, we're actually mucking up the natural hydrology of the landscape. But if you've got an existing dam and you can retrofit it to make it a good habitat, then, and if you can encourage some frogs and birds to come and live there, then you can actually be providing habitat for threatened and endangered species. You can also, and I suppose it's also just that educational thing of getting people to understand the value of dams and wetlands and just water in the environment, in the Australian environment. So the technique is to use the corner of the pipe and just give it a bit of a tap vertically. We've got the worst extinction rate in the world. We're about one of the worst land clearers in the world. Like, you know, we're up there with Brazil in terms of the area of native vegetation that gets cleared every year. So, yeah, we've got to turn that attitude around, and yeah, learn to live in the landscape, learn to be more gentle with it, and to be able to just watch it and see how it works and become more part of it rather than trying to dominate it and make it do what we want it to do.
Well, there's an awful lot of learning going on. Even Damien Cook, he didn't like to call himself an expert because we're all learning. So I learnt so much in terms of plant placement, it struck in my mind that you know, it's okay for a dam to go dry. The indigenous aquatic plants will come back. I didn't know that. So I think, like me, a lot of people have learned so much in a very short period of time.
Basically, Mother Nature is actually really good at healing herself if humans just get out of the way. You know, we really need to kind of get out of the way and let nature recover. And by observing, you'll come to understand it better. And then, and obviously, like, don't just look at your dam. Like, maybe go and find a natural wetland nearby as well, and go and sit and observe that as well. And nature is the greatest teacher. You know, you'll get amazing insights just from sitting quietly and watching what the animals are doing, looking at where certain plants are growing in the environment, and you'll become, you know, you'll naturally become attuned. I mean, humans have a natural affinity to nature. You know, we evolved in it. You know, our ancestors, you know, and we are still part of nature. We can't get away from it. You know, we get around in our air-conditioned cars, and we've done all these things to try and separate ourselves from nature, but really, and that's why we stuffed the planet up, you know, and we really need to get back to being in a more close relationship with it.
We need to be putting oxygen back in the air. We need green spaces. We need fresh air. We need animals and birds and insects to all have a proper, healthy environment to thrive in, and human beings, of course.
It's exciting to see things happening quickly, and you get that sense of progress. And you can only get that with many hands making light work. I think it's just a shame that COVID's got in the way of us doing another workshop and bringing the same intensity of focus and energy to someone else's block. So hopefully we'll be able to continue that soon, and we'll just keep on planting.
Well, I think the future's, you know, I'm naturally an optimist, but this has been a demonstration of the power of like-minded people to get together and really achieve something of real benefit. So that idea, I suppose, the power of the people, if it's harnessed, there's no end to it.